All right, jam-packed program we've had for you this morning. Hope you've enjoyed some of the content we've brought you. Well, we continue to do exactly that. On Friday, the SABC launched its revised editorial policies following extensive public consultation and in line with the Broadcasting Act stipulations. The review of the policies took into account changes in the broadcasting environment, public interest obligations, and evolving content consumption patterns and audience preferences. In addition, the SABC Board is also working on a turnaround strategy which will include a reduction of staff, among other things. So joining us now to talk about a range of issues, including those I've mentioned, we have the SABC Board Chairperson, Bongumusa Makhathini. Good to have you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers and listeners at home. Thank you.
So let's start off right at the top with something that I think is quite a breakthrough. Let's talk about the key changes to the revised editorial policies, beginning with possibly the most crucial, and that's namely a shift in the editorial accountability and upward referral, especially the latter. Explain to us what this actually means.
Basically, what we've done, we've taken the authority and the power back to the newsroom. To ensure that the GE News is now in charge of all the decisions that are editorial. We've now changed the editor-in-chief, used to be the group chief executive. Now it has changed back to GE News. And this new configuration really allows the GE News to be in charge of all decisions that are editorial, but also it protects the SABC editorial work from any form of interference. And that's why that change was very crucial in ensuring that the impartiality and the independence of the newsroom is protected.
Yeah. It certainly is of utmost importance for a public broadcaster, and I think that this is welcomed not only by the staff here at the SABC, but the wider population that rely on the SABC for this impartial and independent news that now you say is guaranteed. However, what will happen if this is not in place? I mean, what are the repercussions of this?
Firstly, it starts by having very clear policies to guide our staff, but also to guide the board and management. So that we've achieved with the launch of this editorial policy. But the second thing is about having the right competent employees and people of integrity who will respect those guidelines and adhere to those policies. So that's the second thing. The truth of the matter is we trust the people that we employ are professionals. They respect their own profession and their level best to adhere to the guidelines that have been provided.
Now, obviously, the rationale as well, which I imagine is behind the changes, is also to strengthen editorial controls by ensuring that editorial staff actually take full accountability for editorial decisions and that the public broadcaster delivers on this public mandate. Is this at the heart of all of this as well?
Certainly, it is at the heart of it. I mean, if you look at where SABC is today, the fact that we've been able to become number one in the news area and space, it talks to the effort by our own employees. And this new policy on editorial independence is also going to help boost that. So it's already showing that SABC is regaining the lost credibility and the lost trust. And the launch that we had the last week really is a good step forward.
There's a lot in the new policies that deal with the digital platform as well, such as harmonizing of technology and the rephrasing of the policies in line with digital publishing. Talk to us about that, because I know that this is a massive direction that the SABC not only wants to, but needs to go in.
Certainly. There's been a lot of change and development in the broadcasting space. So we had to come up with guidelines around social media and digital content. And part of the reason why or elements that are incorporated in the new policy is to come up with guidelines on how we play in the digital space and in the social media, and making sure that our people understand that whatever you post there is as important as what we'll have in other traditional platforms that we have, but also to give them guidelines as to what is expected of them when they engage in those platforms.
All right, let's now move on to some of the not so nice developments at the SABC, and that, of course, is the talk of a lot of retrenchments that are happening. Weekend newspaper reports talking that a meeting went through with the ANC, and they weren't happy with some of the plans that are in place to retrench the large number of workers here at the SABC. Talk to us about this meeting. What actually happened?
Maybe let me start here. As the SABC, we've embarked on this turnaround, and that turnaround is informed by a strategy that was supported and sponsored by the Department of Communication through the work that was done by GTEC, which is a team coming from National Treasury. So it's a collaborative process that gave birth to the turnaround strategy that we have. Linked then to that strategy, we had to come up with a target operating model, which then operationalized a turnaround strategy. So the operationalization of that strategy will then result to a new target operating model and a restructured SABC that is efficient, that is able to compete and play in the new space within which we play. So that's a comprehensive piece of work that the SABC has embarked on. And then it becomes necessary and important for the SABC to engage all key stakeholders. We've engaged business, we've engaged with our labor union leaders, we've engaged with civil society, we've engaged with our employees and everybody else who really cares about the future of the SABC. So in that context, we also then engage the ANC to take them through the strategy, to update them on how we've utilized the bailout money that we were given, and also to share with them what are the plans and the difficulties that we have in turning around the SABC. And that's basically the context of the meeting and what we'll continue to, and of course, we'll continue to engage more people because getting input from other people, getting some insight will help us really beef the strategy and make sure that whatever we do is a collaborative exercise that is supported by everybody who cares about a sustainable SABC. Because the truth of the matter is, if we don't do these things, SABC will continue to depend on taxpayers' money, which is not ideal. We have to get SABC to stand on its own feet, to be able to be self-sufficient so that we can be able to pursue and continue delivering on our mandate.
If we look at the numbers that have obviously been spoken to in terms of retrenchment, we're talking of retrenching 600 full-time employees and to terminate the contracts of 1,200 freelance staff. I mean, this is now looking at about 1,800 staff members that may lose their jobs here at the SABC. Anything that can be done to save these jobs, or is this still the only option going forward?
Then, when you look at what the Labour Relations Act dictates, Section 189, is that when an employer contemplates a restructure, they need to engage on a consultation process. So what we are now engaging or busy with is to engage with labour unions in a process that is facilitated and guided by CCMA. And out of that process, that's when then we'll get input and maybe refine some of the initial thoughts and ideas that were presented by management. So we'll be getting input from our partners, from our labour unions, and that will then sort of help us come up with a resolution or ideas that are incorporating everybody's input. Of course, retrenching, it will always be the last resort, and it must be a process that is treated with the high sensitivity and the respect that it deserves, because we're talking about people's lives. But the truth of the matter is, whatever we are doing is at the best interest of the SABC, because also when you think about where we are as the SABC, the salary bill, is over 40%, which is quite a very unsustainable kind of a situation, considering the fact that on content we're only investing about 23 or 22%, which then is a problem, because if you don't have quality and compelling content, then you're not able to attract advertising revenue and fulfill your mandate fully. So it is important for us to be very honest and very thorough about this process, and also make sure that we are fully compliant with the Labour Relations Act.
And this is something I know that you embarked on. It's not the first time that you've embarked on this turnaround strategy and the talk of retrenchments, which was stopped when you wanted to. I mean, I think this was in almost a 24-month process that you were saying you wanted to retrench a lot more staff, and that obviously was stopped. But now you're back there where we're looking at a wage bill of about 270 million rand a month. There was the skills audit that was done. You know, with that, update us on the skills audit. I mean, what is it showing us here at the SABC? What do the skills look like? And can we actually afford to lose that amount? Will the SABC run perfectly fine without that amount of staff?
The skills audit, I can confirm that the skills audit is done and complete. And it has given us quite good insight in terms of the skills, the depth of the skills, education, qualification, experience that our people have. And it will, of course, guide us as we then go to a point where we're now matching skills with jobs. We're also looking at plans for development and skilling up our people. It will also give us a sense of how do we make sure that we utilize the skills that we have to pursue the SABC public mandate that we have to pursue. But of course, I must also mention the fact that skills audit is never a prerequisite of any restructuring in any organization. But we had to do it because it was going to help us understand the depth of skills that we have within the SABC. It is done, and the input coming out of that will really help us when we do job matching and skills matching, but also as we sort of look at the areas of skills that we don't have. To touch on the point of SABC becoming a digital or operating in a digital space, we may have not invested a lot in that space. So we're going to need new skills to help us be able to operate within the new context of the broadcasting, within which broadcasting is the organization are operating it. So it's quite an insightful what we brought today.
We're looking at some of the comments that came out of the Sunday, this was the City Press, that were talking to Pulemabe from the ANC, saying that one of the things that was highlighted during this meeting between some of the ANC leadership and the leadership of the SABC was saying that the SABC did not have a good team for advertising. That was one that was highlighted. If this is the case, then how do we rectify that? How can we fix that? If that has been seen as a problem, perhaps bring in more revenue into the SABC. How do we fix the advertising side of things here at the organization?
In fact, the element that was highlighted is the sales team, the ability of the sales team to go out there and sell. Because of the changes that have happened over time, you know, when you are a monopoly in a big corporation, and people used to only depend on traditional ways of advertising. But these days, when you go to our advertisers, they demand a different kind of a value proposition. Before, it was about just talking about the numbers that we have, the number of TV channels that we have and the radio stations. But what they want, for example, they want you to go to them with a package deal that says, this is what I'm going to do for you on radio platform, this is what I'll do for you on TV channel, this is what I'll do on the social or digital space. So if you look at how our people have been, they've operated in silos. So the TV guy will go sell a TV, the radio guy will go sell an ad time on radio, and as a result, it was fragmented. So there is a need for us to sort of retrain where possible. But of course, we also need new skills because what is demanded out there is different from what we are accustomed to. So there are plans that the executive teams have put together in terms of what we got from the skills audit, one, but also what we've learned as we engage with our clients. The CEO and the top three executives have done an extensive work in meeting with our clients to understand exactly what our clients need. And this kind of changes happen in every industry. And now and again, you'll have to shift the way you package the value that you give them because they are also operating in a landscape that is competitive and changing. And as the SABC, we are not immune to those. And we have to keep on training our people and also attracting the skills that are relevant now so that we can be able to survive in the market.
We heard as well that the SABC is expecting to report a 2 billion rand loss in the 2019-2020 year. This is obviously on the back of saying that we need 1 billion rand from government at this point in time, and with all of the stresses on government, it appears highly unlikely that this loan is going to come through from the government. I mean, I imagine that's the case. What happens? Because there is so much pressure against the SABC for not retrenching and getting rid of staff. However, the money is just not there. Where to from here? What are you going to do?
The truth of the matter is, as the board and the staff of the SABC, we need to be very honest with ourselves. We've just been given that 3.2 billion rand to cover the debt that we already had. At the time when we got the 3.2 billion, we were already at about 2 billion rand in terms of debt. Secondly, we have not invested in the compelling and quality content, which is critical for any broadcaster. We also had a backlog from a maintenance point of view. And the truth of the matter is the only way is to do what is right. And what is right may be hard, may be painful, but we have to face the brutal facts and do what is responsible, and we'll make sure that this organization that is over 84 years of existence will still be there to serve the next generation. And the truth of the matter is the 2 billion rand gap that we are focusing is as a result of the impact of COVID-19. We had to displace a lot of our normal programming to allow government space to talk to the citizens about the pandemic and also to educate them and to increase the levels of awareness. A lot of companies were under lockdown. As a result, they were not advertising. We had secured a number of sporting rights that we could not sort of commercialize because of the lockdown. So the 2 billion rand gap is as a result of a number of things. The lost revenue because not a lot of advertising was happening, but also in some of the premium time and slots, we had to allow government space where they will do press conferences. Maybe some of these will run for 2 hours, 3 hours. Some of them will start an hour late and finish an hour late. And as a result of that, we lost revenue that was committed. And this is why people need to be very fair and honest with us, that if we can't do what is responsible as the board, as what we are expected from a Companies Act, from a fiduciary duty point of view, at the same time, we are not allowed to do what needs to be done, but we're not getting the money, which is unfair also to citizens, to continue drawing billions of rand for something that can be fixed. By us implementing our turnaround strategy and making sure that whatever is promised from that turnaround works and is realized.
I have to let you go. Time has run out. We got to say goodbye to you. But I just want that final confirmation from you. You mentioned that the skills audit is finalised. Is it finalised? Are you sure? Because Parliament had said last week they needed you to finish it. It wasn't finished then. You're telling us now it is final.
It is finalised, yes.
Okay, thanks for that confirmation. That was our SABC Board Chairperson, Bongumusa Makhathini, talking to us about the broadcaster's revised editorial policy as well as this turnaround strategy that's being worked on. And unfortunately, this, of course, resulting in a story of retrenchments that are lingering here at the SABC. Let's take a break. See you after this.